Institute of the Christian Religion by John Calvin. Book 1, Chapter 5, Section 10. The purpose of this knowledge of God. Knowledge of this sort then ought not only to arouse us to worship of God, but also to awaken and encourage us to the hope of the future life. For since we notice that the examples that the Lord shows us both of His clemency and of His severity are inchoate and incomplete, doubtless we must consider this to presage even greater things, the manifestation and full exhibition of which are deferred to another life. On the other hand, since we see the pious laden with afflictions by the impious, stricken with unjust acts, overwhelmed with slanders, wounded with abuses and reproaches, while the wicked on the contrary flourish, are prosperous, obtain repose with dignity, and that without punishment, we must straightway conclude that there will be another life in which iniquity is to have its punishment, and righteousness is to be given its reward. Furthermore, since we observe that believers are often chastised by the Lord's rods, we may with full assurance believe that one day the wicked must no less suffer his lash. Indeed, Augustine's remark is well known. If now every sin were to suffer open punishment, it would seem that nothing is reserved for the final judgment. Again, if God were now to punish no sin openly, one would believe that there is no providence. We must therefore admit in God's individual works, but especially in them as a whole, that God's powers are actually represented as in a painting. Thereby the whole of mankind is invited and attracted to recognition of Him, and from this to true and complete happiness. Now those powers appear most clearly in His works, yet we comprehend their chief purpose, their value, and the reason why we should ponder them only when we descend into ourselves and contemplate by what means the Lord shows in us His life, wisdom, and power, and exercises in our behalf His righteousness, goodness, and mercy. For even though David justly complains that unbelievers are foolish because they do not ponder the deep designs of God in the governance of mankind, yet what he says elsewhere is very true, that God's wonderful wisdom here abounds more than the hairs of our head. But because this argument is to be treated more amply below, I now pass over it.